Have you ever heard this phrase, because it is said so in the Shastras? Whenever someone wants to quote scriptural authority, this phrase is used. Why should I fast on Ekadashis? Because the Shastras say so. Why should I wash my feet after I come back home? Because the Shastras say so. Why should I not drink water immediately after a meal? Because the Shastras say so. But this phrase is usually used in such a generic sense that it loses all value of providing a reference. If only someone mentions which Shastra says so and what does it actually say, there is a possibility of going into why it says so and if and how to apply it in our daily lives. But for that to happen, we need to first have at least a basic understanding of what Shastras are. So in this video, let us learn what the word Shastra actually means, how many Shastras exist, and across what topics. At the end of this video, let us also look at some of the most pertinent questions like, do Shastras stay relevant across all time? And also, how rigid or flexible are these rules? Please make sure to watch until the end of the video to get the complete perspective. The Sanskrit word Shastra comes from the root sound shas, which means a rule or an instruction. This is the basis for words like Shasana, which means ruling, and Shasta, which means a ruler. A Shastra is a set of rules and basic principles which govern any given subject. A set of basic principles on cooking is kAmashAstra. A set of guidelines on conducting sexual desire is kAmashAstra. A set of rules on building inhabitations is vAstu shAstra, and so on. The most important thing to remember is that a Shastra is not just one text. Some texts might have the word Shastra in their name itself, but in general, the word applies to the entire field of study. For example, under vAstu shAstra, there are texts like Vishwakarma vAstu shAstra, Shilpa Prakasha, Maya Mata, and many other such texts. Under kAmashAstra, there are texts like Vatsyayana Kama Sutra, Anangaranga, Rati Rahasya, and so on. Under nATya Shastra, there is Bharata Muni's nATya Shastra, Nritya Ratnavali, Abhinaya Darpana, and many such texts. Under jyotisha Shastra, there is Brihat Parashara Hora Shastra, Phala Deepika, Jataka Chandrika, and so on. In Yoga Shastra, of course, there are texts like Yoga Vasishtham, Yoga Sutras of Sage Patanjali, Hatha Yoga Pradipika, and so on. Under Tantra Shastra, there are guiding texts like Parashurama Kalpa Sutras, Yogini Tantra, Meru Tantra, and so on. I've just listed a few such Shastras for example, but this list goes on and on and on. Are you wondering, how on earth did so many and such diverse fields of study pop up in Sanskrit? In ancient times, due to the geographical protection provided by the Himalayas and the Indian Ocean, the land of Bharat stayed relatively safe from external invasions for a long period of time. This resulted in the flourishing of arts, sciences, and finer pursuits of life beyond the basic concerns of building muscle and might for safety and survival. We had to pay a heavy price for this eventually, but this unhampered blossoming of finer aspects of culture led to the birth of thousands of profound texts on hundreds of such Shastras across an extremely diverse range of topics from mathematics, astronomy, architecture, and arts to the sciences of unlocking human potential through the fields of Agama, Yoga, and Tantra. Not only are the revelations contained within these texts extremely insightful, the way in which they are conveyed too is extremely poetic. Even those subjects which one might usually perceive as dry and logical, like mathematical calculations and formulae, are presented in intricate forms of poetry. Summing up, a set of texts that cover the very foundational guiding principles of any topic are given the name of Shastra. This is why the phrase "it is said so in the Shastras" is used in such a generic sense. But it is always a good idea to mention the actual Shastra being referred to and quote the principles mentioned when attributing something as being said by the Shastras. Now, do all the Shastras stay relevant across all time? Of course not. With changing social structures, many instructions of the Shastras that deal with the functioning of the outside world could be either impractical or not applicable in the current times. However, Shastras dealing with internal aspects of well-being like Yoga, Tantra, and Agama remain unchanged as long as the nature of life itself remains unchanged. This is why it is important to understand the context and the purpose behind the prescriptions made by the Shastras. The next question, are the rules mentioned in the Shastras the be-all and end-all of any subject? Definitely not. For someone who is starting their study of the subject, they are essential rules to be adhered to. However, for someone who is firmly established in the subject, these principles are only a framework to build on top of. In conclusion, the ancient sages of Bharat, in their profound states of perception, passed on their knowledge in the form of Shastras or guiding principles for us to follow and benefit from. The choice is left to us, of course, if we want to follow them or let them go. The least we can do is at least experiment with these principles to test their effects for ourselves, lest we end up being sold the same information packaged in fancy new names. I hope that you now have a clear understanding of what Shastras are. Share this video across with those whom you think might benefit from this. If you wish to support the production of more videos like these, consider becoming a sponsor on Patreon or make a one-time contribution, all through the links in the description below. Also, consider clicking on the subscribe button and the bell icon beside it so that you are immediately notified of our latest updates. See you in the next video. Namaskaram.